For months, everything seemed to point towards one day, the examination. We counted down the weeks, bought past questions, revised difficult topics, practiced again and again. Even that uncle who hadn't asked about mathematics all year suddenly remembered to call. Hope you're preparing very well. Oh. And finally, the day comes. Your child walks into that examination hall and eventually walks out. The exam is over, but your child's journey isn't, because examinations have dates, learning doesn't. Then life quietly returns to normal. Tuesday comes, no examination countdown, no big timetable on the wall, nobody is shouting, "Common entrance is coming." Just an ordinary evening. And your child brings home one question that simply refuses to make sense. Or perhaps school has already moved to the next topic. But somewhere behind the class, your child is still trying to understand the last one. And sometimes, the problem isn't that your child is struggling. They are doing well, very well. But nobody is asking how much further they could go. Because children don't only need support when an examination is approaching. They need different things at different moments. And somewhere along our journey at the Shammah Online Academy, we realized something. If we only showed up when NCEE was approaching, then perhaps we were showing up just for an examination. But behind every examination, there was always something more important. A child. A child who sometimes needs one person to slow down. A child who sometimes needs to hear an explanation again, and sometimes again, and again. A child who needs support during the holidays. A child preparing for an important examination. A child who simply comes home one evening and says, "I don't understand this." So we decided not to build around an examination alone. We decided to build around the learner. Because here is something we should never forget. Two children can be 10 years old, wear the same uniform, sit in the same classroom, listen to the same teacher, and still need completely different things. One needs someone to say, "Let's slow down." Another needs someone to say, "You are ready, let's go further." One child doesn't need the same explanation repeated louder. They need it explained differently. Another doesn't need someone solving every question for them. They just need someone patient enough to stay nearby. Until "help me" slowly becomes "let me try." Because good teaching isn't about forcing every child into the same box. It's about discovering how the child inside that box learns. Maybe you found us because of NCEE. Maybe one day you stopped scrolling because you saw a shortcut, a mathematics question, an examination tip, something you thought might actually be of help to your child. And somehow, here we are, day 35. But think about what we've really talked about for these 35 days. Confidence, careless mistakes, different ways children learn, when to begin preparing, study habits, the words we say to our children, and the moments when they almost gave up. Perhaps this journey was never only about NCEE. Perhaps it was always about the child who will still be learning long after NCEE is over. So, yes, we prepare children for NCEE and we will continue to help them prepare well. But that's not where the story ends. There are private tutorials for the child who needs personal attention, recorded lessons for the child who needs to pause, return, and try again. Holiday boot camps because rest matters. But perhaps multiplication tables don't need a 6-week vacation. And exam preparation for academic support. Not because every child needs every service, but because every child needs something different at different moments of their journey. And maybe the most important question isn't, is my child preparing for an examination? Maybe it's, what does my child need right now? Wherever that answer begins, that is where good teaching should begin too.